Okay, so this is the MatrixMaxx Q&A session for February. As always, I'm here for up to an hour to answer any questions you guys have about using the product or features you may be interested in learning how they work that you may not have used before. So I will start off by opening the floor to see if anybody has any questions to start us off.
I have a question. This is Lisa DeMoro.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So under communications, I have a bunch of lists. And there's a couple of lists that have not been active, and we want to kind of retire them but not delete them so we don't lose the people that are on the lists. Is there a way to do it that it doesn't show under the My NerdComp, it wouldn't show that mailing list as an option for people to select?
Yeah, so to give some background for everybody else on the line, I'm here on the demo site. So I'm going to go into the list here for the demo site, and what Lisa's asking is for a list, if you make it an open list, folks can go to their Edit My Profile and select to subscribe themselves to that list or not. So Lisa, what you'll want to do is go and change the setting from an open list to a closed list for that. So I'll go into one of these lists as an example, and you'll edit the settings here. And on the second page, so I'm just going to hit Save Continue to go to the second page, this join rules here. So if it is an open list, this allows folks to go to their My Subscriptions on the profile page on the website and subscribe themselves. If it is closed, it will not appear as one of the email lists that they can subscribe or unsubscribe themselves to. So that's what you would do in that case. And another, if you don't want to delete the list, what some of our folks will do to kind of make it go to the bottom of the list of lists is they'll put like a XX in front of the name or something like that so that it drops to the bottom of this page if you don't want to actually delete it.
So under list name, that's where you'd put the XX?
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Anyone else have a question?
I do. This is Wendy Giroux from AIPN.
Hi, Wendy.
Hey. I was wondering, so we're looking for a report or a way to track membership change history. We change members from student to active once they graduate, and we kind of want to go back and see who those people are. Is there a way to track that?
That's a great question, and I'm thinking through in my head, because these are individual memberships, correct, in this case?
Right.
Okay. And it's less often that we have folks change membership types, but I know it happens regularly for you guys, but that is a less common situation. So I'm not sure if we have a report that does specifically that, but let me look to see what we do have here. I'm also thinking in my head about the individual query builder, if there'd be a way to build that, or if let me, and this is kind of how I work through things with my head for you all. You're getting an inside track here of how I do things. So let me look at the advanced individual search and see if these options would give us what we want or not. So I'm going to go into interactions.
Yeah, I tried to kind of do a query based on or search activities, looking at privilege groups.
Yeah.
But I wasn't successful.
Yeah, so we have a payment status, but it doesn't look like we have a member type here. So you'd be able to find if they were a member 1 year and not paid member the next year. Let me look at individual query builder real quick, because that is a relatively new thing, individual query builder. And so I'm not as familiar with the options that are available here yet. So let's see. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a way to do that, the membership type 1 year versus another membership type, but let me think about that, Wendy. I'm going to type myself some notes here. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a way, but I might be missing some way. So let me, and it's from student to, what's the other membership type? Wendy, are you still there? Can you folks still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yeah, we're
okay.
still
Wendy, are you still there? Oh, maybe, I think we just lost Wendy. Okay. So if Wendy hears us reporting, I'm making a note to myself here. Okay. All right. So does anybody else have a question they want to ask?
This is Eleanor calling from DSA. I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I've just been making an ongoing list.
Perfect.
And so my first question is, when I'm trying to sync a list with MailChimp, as it comes up with an error and unable to communicate with server.
Yeah, so this is actually kind of a known thing that happens, especially the first time you try to sync a list. And let me go into one of our MailChimp ones here. So unfortunately, when they changed their API a little while ago, and the new way the API is done is that the first time it syncs, or the first time for a long time that it syncs, it does take a lot longer than it used to, and so sometimes it does present a unable to communicate with server, which is essentially a timeout. But if you give it a little bit more time and then come back and check the sync history here, it usually actually did sync. And so you can see, oh, it actually did sync on the 30th, and even though it said it unable to communicate, I came back 20 minutes later and it had synced. So that's unfortunately a limitation right now with MailChimp's API that we're still kind of fleshing out and trying to figure out a better way to communicate with that to speed that up. But that is unfortunately something that we do know.
Okay.
Yeah. And you said you had another question?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm taking notes.
No, absolutely.
Adding a individual to 2 different organizations.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to remember if DSA has the additional affiliations option. I'm actually going to open up your Max in another window so I can look at that real quick. Because there's 2 different answers depending on whether you guys have additional affiliations or not.
Okay.
Right. So let me go in. You guys, there's not much to see because I have this in my non-projecting window because I don't want to show any of DSA's data here. Okay, you guys do have additional affiliations. So unfortunately, our demo site does not. But so basically, if you were in an individual record, and I'm going to pull up John Smith's record here, there is a 4th option down here for additional affiliations. So you need to decide what is their primary organization, and that's who you actually attach them to in the standard way. So in the standard way, you'd attach them to their standard company, you know, with their title and their demographics and all of that. But there's a 4th accordion here in this section for additional affiliations with a button with an edit pencil for additional affiliations. And when you click on that, you can add as many different affiliations as you need to. You would select the company, what their title at that additional company is, and then what their job function. So are they C-suite? Are they finance admin? Are they operations? Are they Salesforce? And then is there a start date and end date for that affiliation? And then you could save and add that. So that is how it would be handled for you guys, is the additional affiliations.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And then another question is, whenever I click return to an organization, so say we're going from John Smith back to the association after being a staff member, it takes me to a different organization page.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so what sometimes happens is that, so I think what's happening there is it'll have a little like return to organization view page. That is called what technically we call a stack link. So when you do something that kind of stacks you out to another thing, and then you kind of come back and continue what you're doing in the first place, it adds that link to get you back to where you started from. So usually what that is, like, you did something that took you into a stack, but then you kind of went off and did something else, but it held on to that stack link. So even though you're off doing something else now, the link is from the first thing you did. Once you've clicked on the stack link once, then it's gone. But that's, I think, what's happening there. But next time that happens, go ahead and give me a call and we can kind of walk through the process that got you there.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, and then when I was trying to pull a list for all my non-members, hot, like cold and warm prospects, but then in 3 certain states. But then when I pulled the list, it didn't include people that I knew were fitted those categories.
Okay. Can you again, I can have yours open in another window here, so we're not recording and projecting your data. But do you have an example of an individual?
So doTERRA, they are. I was trying to pull a list for all active non-members, all warm, hot, cold previous members of in Utah, Idaho, and Arizona.
Okay.
doTERRA is one of them, but then when I pulled the list, they didn't pop up.
And is this a list you've already saved in communications? Or was this did you do just a search without creating a list?
That was just one of those under contacts, individuals, advanced individual search.
Okay. Let's see. Now, is the, because you can set prospects at both the individual and the organization level. So depending on if the prospect status was set at the individual or organization level and how the search was done, it could affect that. Here. How do you spell the organization name?
So it's capitalized D, lowercase o, capitalized T, lowercase e, RRA.
Okay. Okay, I got you here, and I'm looking, and they are a hot prospect in your database, and okay, so they are a hot prospect, and so none of their staff came up when you did that search, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what it may be is that the search you're using is searching for individuals who are prospects instead of organizations who are prospects, if that makes sense. But let me look here. And which section of the advanced individual search was that field that you were looking for here? Company information or okay, yeah. Was it under company information, organization, prospect status?
Yes.
Okay, and then you did address, state Utah, right?
Yeah, so I did individual info was active staff, membership was all of the direct selling members, pending direct selling member, supplier, subscriber, non-members, membership status, active, inactive, canceled, and then the 3 states for the actives, and then
so
information.
It may be the membership status there, because since they technically have never been a member, they don't have a membership status.
Mm-hmm.
So since they inactive means they were a member and are now no longer a member. So since they are a non-member and have never been active, they would not come back in that search.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that is what is happening there. So if you do the membership types but don't select membership status, then I think you'll get what you want. So go ahead and give that a try, and then give me a call later today if that still doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. And then I just had 2 more questions.
Yeah.
First one was another issue with MailChimp is unsubscribing. And I think I read this on the Help Center, that MailChimp is the unsubscriber, while Max is in charge of subscribing. But that just makes it a lot harder for us. Mm-hmm. And so I was wondering, is there an easier way that whenever we make someone a former staff or inactive, we don't keep using their email?
Yeah, so it should actually take them off the list if either one happens. So if they go in to MailChimp and they say unsubscribe me from the list, we will honor that and make them manually excluded from the list. But also, if they go off the list for other reasons on the Max side, so if they are no longer included in the criteria because the criteria looks for active member only and they're now no longer an active member, when that updates overnight, they come off the list. The next time it syncs with MailChimp, they won't be on the MailChimp list. Or if you manually remove them from the list on the MatrixMaxx side, the next time it syncs with MailChimp, they will not be on the MailChimp list. So unsubscribing actually works from both sides. We honor it both from what they do in MailChimp and also what happens to the list in MatrixMaxx.
Okay. Cool. And then just my last question is, if you could show how to impersonate a member again.
All right. Yes. Impersonation. Great. I'm going to pull up a help article on this just so for everyone else's benefit. I'm going to go to our help section. And this is only something that people who are power users or site admin access level only. In DSA case, we call that access level administrators. But for other people, I believe it's called site admins. This is how you can see I search for this often. This is how, when you need to look at what the website looks like as somebody else, as a member, as a non-member, as another user, anybody with these top-level access levels can do it. And there's a help article here that gives everything you need to know if you forget after you get off the phone call here. But basically, you need to know the person you're going to impersonate's username. But then the password will be a combination of your username : your password. So let's do this as an example. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to do a search for Roger Acme. He is a member of our demo organization. I don't know his password because it's protected, it's encrypted, but I'm going to copy his username. So copy his username. Now, if we go to the website for the demo here, National Association of Fund Companies, and I go to log in, I would put in the username field his username, but in the password field, I'm going to put my username, a colon, and then sorry, I can't talk and think about the password at the same time, and then my password. So it's my username, a colon, my password, click login. And now I am logged in as Roger Acme. If I go to manage profile, it's going to show me what Roger Acme sees. If I go to a meeting registration, it's going to show me what Roger Acme would see in that meeting registration process. And it also is smart on the back end. If I were to go to Roger Acme's record on the back end to his reports, and as you know, one of our reports is the login activity report, it knows that yes, there was a login, but it was done by Matrix Group. And the one we just did hasn't come in here yet, but it'll look identical to this, that there was a login, but it was done by Matrix Group because that's who impersonated him for that login. So it's smart enough to know that it wasn't actually Roger doing login. So that's impersonation.
Hi, this is Marcine from eBree, and I have a quick question on that.
Yeah.
When we go in and impersonate somebody, I don't think we get that parentheses, like, you know, identifying that was an eBree personnel. Is that Matrix Group comment just specific to something you all have set up? Because I don't think we have that same.
It should. It
Okay.
should show you that. If it doesn't, definitely next time you impersonate somebody, you know, go look at that login activity report, and if it doesn't, let us know, because it should say parentheses. You know, I'm not sure what your username is, if it's Marcy, if it's MPU or what. It should tell you. It should put that in the parentheses.
Okay. Well, I will definitely take a look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Did you have any other questions, Eleanor, or was that all you had today?
That's all I had today.
Okay. Did anybody else have questions, or I have some that I can go over as well?
This is Wendy again. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
So my other question was, is there a similar report to the one that's for organizations with similar names? I know there's the report for individuals with similar email or with the same email address.
Right.
But is there some way that I could look and see by individual with similar names? We have a lot of duplicates, and go ahead.
The closest thing that we get is that individuals with same email address.
Okay.
So if that's something that would be immensely helpful to you, definitely put it in as a requested MatrixMaxx enhancement. And for those who may not be aware, especially any of our newer staff, we definitely, these small updates like this, we definitely look, if you put in a work request that is a requested MatrixMaxx enhancement, what that means is it's something you'd like to see in a future version, but you're not wanting an RFP or something like that. It's just like, hey, this would be great to see. And when we're evaluating what to put in the next version of MatrixMaxx, we look to those requested MatrixMaxx enhancements for what to add in. So, you know, that's definitely something to put in a requested MatrixMaxx enhancement for, Wendy.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and especially, I think we may be doing some work with nicknames coming up, so that might be a good tie-in with that as well.
Okay.
So, anyone else have a question? Okay. So I have gone through our work requests from the past month since our last session, and pulled out any questions that we have gotten through work requests that I'll go through these topics now, just so everybody has the benefit of things other people have asked. So the first one is you have a new staff member, you need to give them access to MatrixMaxx. What do you do? So the first thing is you set them up in MatrixMaxx. So if I go to the record for the association here, so the association is right here. First thing I need to do is add them as a contact. So I'm going to go to staff, and I'm going to add individuals to organization short. It's my preferred form, and I like doing it in this order from the view staff page just because then it knows what organization I want to add it to, but everybody has their kind of preferred way to do it. This is how I prefer to do it. So I'm going to add an individual in here. Named new staff member, and see, it already knows I want to add them to the association because I came from that view staff page. If you came just from the direct add a new individual, you would say use this company, and you'd select the company you want to add them to, or add a new organization, or say they're not assigned with an organization. And then I will give them a username. Oh, first let me give them an email. I'm just going to give them one of my many emails in here. And it's going to say that is not a valid because it's in here already. So I'm just going to kind of give it an extra little thing here. All right, so I'm going to save continue adding them to the database here. Oh, that email is already in the database. Right, that is actually something new. Doesn't affect most of you guys because not every client gets this, but some of our clients will see that we are slowly adding the emails need to be unique. This will not affect you guys. This is on our demo site though, but we will not do it without talking to you first. So this is what I think Eleanor was talking about earlier, the return to organization view staff page. If I went off and did stuff and then came back, it would still be here and wanting me to go back to the association. But I'm going to go ahead and click on that now, so it takes me back to the association view staff page now. Okay, so this person's in here. They are a staff member of the organization. So if I scroll down here, they're here, new staff member. But they don't have any access. So if I go into new staff member and I go over here to their access, they don't actually have access to anything. Just because they're attached to the association doesn't give them anything. I, as a site admin administrator, need to go up to the admin section, manage access levels, and here I decide what access they're going to get from this left-hand column. So there's a couple options. Either they get top-level access, they are site admin, or in the case of DSA, you guys call this level administrators, and you want to add them and give them just kind of broad over access to everything. And for the smaller associations, that's often what you do. For the larger associations, oftentimes you will give them lower access. So you'll give them staff, which just basically allows them to log in and see the dashboard. And then you will add on the other access levels that you want them. So staff plus membership add edit, or staff plus membership add edit, and InfoMaxx, which is the report section, things like that. We're just going to do site admin for today, just to kind of make it easier. So these are all the people that have site admin right now. And we're going to go down here and find an individual and new staff and select our new staff member and then save continue. Great, so now they are in the list here. If we go down to new staff member. Now if we go over to their record and we go back over to access, you now see that they have site admin access. So that is when a new staff member comes on, that's how you can give them access to Max. The reverse is true. If somebody leaves, you would need to go to the admin manage access level and remove their access so that they no longer have access to MatrixMaxx. Any other questions before I move on to the next thing on my list? Okay. The next two things I have are actually both related to meeting fees. We got a couple different questions from different folks regarding meeting fees, so I figure I can tackle these both at the same time. So I'm going to go here to our Spring 2019 conference and down to our meeting fees section. See, we got a lot of fees in here, which is great. So I'm going to go to the add a fee because I want to see this page here that has all of our fees with the different options. So one question we had was, how do I delete a fee? Well, if the fee has been created and no registrations have been entered for this fee yet, there's a remove button. You can simply click remove and get rid of that fee. However, if anyone has used this fee for registration, then it cannot be removed. And you'll see this note, this fee is in use and cannot be removed. So the first thing you can do is you can edit it and you can change this available on www from yes to no. So that way it's still here on the back end and you'll still see it as a staff member when you're managing the meeting, but no one else will be able to use this when registering for the meeting. So that way you can take it off and it won't be available for use anymore. If you really, really want to use this, you can go and find the registrations that are, or if you want to delete it, you can go find the registrations that are using it, edit their registrations to use a different fee, and then you'll be able to remove this fee. So that's the ins and outs of being able to remove or not remove meeting fees. The second part of this is I had a question about sorting. So those of you who have the meeting fees listed on your meeting view, you actually can choose how they are sorted and how they're listed there using the fee code field for each field. So you notice at the beginning of each one of these, there's a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 50, 51, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is an alphanumeric field, so it's important to note here that, oh, actually, I'm sorry, it isn't an alphabetical, it is sorting correctly where 50 is down below 6 anyway. But, so this will determine, and it doesn't have, you can use numbers, you could use letters, it can be A, B, C, D, E, it doesn't matter. But it's this fee code here that is not displayed to the end user. So your members, your non-members registering for meetings won't see this, but this is what determines the order that they display in. So if you want your alliance stuff to be at the top, followed by partner, followed by student, you can sort it so that it stays in that order. And so that is the field that is used to determine that. So any questions about anything I covered or meeting fees in general? Okay, great. So we didn't get a ton of help request questions outside of the session between the last month. So that's actually all I have for today. So did anybody have any last questions for today's session before we end it until next month? Okay, great. This is a great session. Thank you so much, guys, for coming and bringing your questions. And I will follow up on the one with Wendy that we spoke about. But this was great. Thank you all for your time. And I will talk to you guys next month.